Welcome to this medical terminology, clinical sense, and sensitivity presentations. It is a practicum. It concerns how to from this image can we propose a diagnosis. This is presented by OmniNet MedWord. The emphasis is on visual science and terminology. I am the speaker. My name is shown here, and you can learn about me in the link shown below. This is a practicum. It is about a process, about how can we formulate a hypothetical diagnosis that is moved through the pathway of what we see, what we think it means, what we see, how we can synthesize whatever we see into a cluster we call a syndrome. From that, whatever we can deduct a possible mechanism to create such a cluster, and then the cause or etiology, and all of that, synthesize it to a potential diagnosis. I must stress that the only facts in this process is what we see. The rest are elaborations. Here we see then the practicum component, this image. The prototype is macrocephaly, and the creator who left us this message 500 years ago for us to interpret is Albert Dürer. All what we do here is in English parlance because it's the lingua franca in medicine. However, at points I will talk very slowly to make it easier for those listeners who are not native English speakers to understand better these terms. Everything presented here is found in clinical eye openers. You can then look at clinical eye openers as a deposit of the facts we present. Likewise, the terminology we use, you can find more about it in the companion website Pandora Word Box. As stated, then, we have a prototype. The prototype is macrocephaly. This presentation consists of three parts, and we already have touched upon a very wide terminology, and I will then allude how you could expand your understanding what these terms, what this nomenclature truly means. So, welcome to the introduction, part A. Take a good look. Keep looking. Tell me, can you say approximately what age is this individual? How old is it? Can you tell me his sex or her sex? How about the ethnic origin or race? And then, very often, and that's very useful to remind viewers, that proportions are important, but they are intimately linked to symmetry. What about the proportions in this picture? What about symmetry? Keep looking. All come back and look again. Now, whatever you see, we can call it a sign. And whatever you see as a sign, you may think you know what it means. That is, your brain transforms the sign into a signal. This process depends on your knowledge and experience. Consider, how much experience do you have in terms of seeing morphogenesis signs? And furthermore, how much experience and knowledge you have about seeing alterations or signs of altered morphogenesis, that is, dysmorphogenesis. In a way, this should then give you a sense of how reliable is your judgment or your proposition. So we say, fine, we see it's a sign, we think we know what it means, it's a signal. Is this really information or is it disinformation? Again, the role of knowledge and experience shines big. And then the value of the information depends indeed on your knowledge and experience, and as well as other factors. Let's spend one more moment on this philosophy, if you like. In this image, I see 4 signs. Are they signals? Are they clinically relevant? There is positive information that will sustain my conclusions. But I can also see signs and signals that challenge my conclusion. And I should be honest enough to say, yes, I think this is so, but so and so is against such a hypothesis. So there is negative information or information that is not there at all, is missing. Alternative information. Therefore, there is a balance between information and disinformation. If you start with false signs, you end up with false signals, and the whole building of your propositions will collapse. This is why in these presentations we emphasize visual capacity to see signs, and along the way we produce terminology to match it. And then I think we are ready to move on. At this point, it is important that we know exactly what are the ideas or notions inherent in the words we have used, that we have touched upon or exposed, and here they are. I'm sure you know many of them, but just in case you should know more or you should add to your vocabulary. I will not focus on any of them. I will let you do that because next I'm going to show you how you could enhance your terminology from these websites. As stated earlier, most of the contents of these short videos are extracted from companion websites, among them the Pandora Word Box. Should you go to Pandora Word Box and visit, you have several options to explore notions you wish to know more about or try to remember them better, or even better, you try to see what they mean. You could, for instance, search for a short definition, and here is one definition of cephal, or macrocephaly, or microcephaly, or acrocephaly, and here it is. But you could also search for an overview. An overview is like a short illustrated story. It puts it into a context. It's a cephalad or cephalic delivery. Here are masks of heads and faces. You could instead try to see, well, what does the notions cephalad imply? And you could go to mythology, word roots, etymology, and so forth, and you're going to sure enough find cephaleus. Who was he? Why is he connected to a head? I want to remember this. So here is another channel for you. Then a cluster of words can converge into meanings. So this we call these galaxies that illuminate each other. There is one on macrocephaly. How many words belong to this constellation? Well, I think it's easier if I show you than if I tell you. It is a privilege that I think you will see who was talking to you or who will be continuing talking to you. The aim here is I wish to demonstrate how the galaxies of words tend to impact each other so that it augments, it increases your understanding, your capacity to remember, and to actually be more informed about the scientific and humanistic aspects of medicine. So let's try to see what a galaxy exploration by you, not by me, but by you, could look like. Let's go on. Here we see a menu of galaxies that we can explore, and obviously this particular video is about macrocephaly, so let's click on it. And as soon as we click, then the illumination starts, and here are the members of this galaxy. The challenge for you is how do you connect scale with caput and caput with cephalon and so on. So we have restricted this demonstration to just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. And actually 5 because macro and cephaly or cephalon means big head. So let's click on macrocephaly and see where we end up. And we end up in Pandora Word Box, a companion website, and the menu offers us this choice. A man playing, a man short stature, a man with macrocephaly. What's the diagnosis? An expert dysmorphologist will tell you immediately that till proven otherwise, this individual has achondroplasia. Let's go back. Let's click on cephalon, see what that takes us to. And it takes us, in this instance, to the nomenclature page, and we can go down to the letter C, CE, cephalon, and we're going to find here the short, brief, memorable citations. Cephal, okay, prefix, cephalad, superior or opposite to caudad or cauda. Cauda is your cola is your tail. Let's go back. On skull, what can you tell me about skull? Skull is very interesting because it points towards skeleton, scalaein, scala, scale. So obviously you are getting the point that the head is a collection of scales. Let's go back. Now, let's try cranium. Oh, memento mori. Here is a cranium. Wow. It's a magnificent representation of the fate of mortals. A clock, a time, riches and poverty. Go down a little bit, please, and let's see if there are some comments. Yes, there is some quite a bit comments. And if you're interested in such thing like called culture, you may then culture your knowledge. Let's go back. Let's see at scale. We said that skull and scale has something to do. And here we have these scales that are still loose of the cranium or cephalon of an embryo or fetus. They are not welded yet together. There are sutures that are open. Let's see if there's anything down there that was worth. No, this is a detail, but we can click on this, click on anatomy, and all of a sudden you see we are out of this perspective. We are now exploring a website. You are loose. You can navigate anywhere for how long as you wish. And it is a demonstration of the umbilical cord. Interesting, isn't it? Let's go back. And I think we can end now with a caput. As an overview, two heads. That's not a good idea, but it's a deity. And here is more of hydrocephaly and a hydra and sagittal and sagacious and so forth. And what's a biceps? It's a muscle with two heads. And a triceps is a muscle with three heads. Well, maybe so. Maybe I'm pulling your leg, but read it, be sure. And that's it. That's the end of this demonstration. Goodbye. Enjoy your view of a presentation, whatever it may be. Good luck. We have reached the end of this introduction or part A. You may wish to see it again, and if not, please continue and start with part B. In part B, we are going to explore signs, signals, and their synthesis into pathogenesis, etiology, and diagnosis. I mentioned already I see 4 signs. What do we do with them? So you can link to continue to part B. And until then, accept my best wishes.